Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jyoti Kapoor, SAS Women from Nagpur. On behalf of Prabha Khetan Foundation, I welcome you all. I'm so pleased to be with you today and to have the chance to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Sudhir Bhandari ji. Dr. Sudhir Bhandari is a senior professor of medicine, MD, DNB, MNS, MNAMS, principal and controller at SMS College and Hospital, Jaipur. He is a renowned physician and diabetologist and fellow of Royal College Physicians, London and Edinburgh. A member of government's State Advisory Board for COVID-19, he also treatment group of the state government as well as COVID-19 containment program of SMS College and attached hospitals. Dr. Bhandari has published 80 articles in prestigious medical journals and contributed chapters for textbooks and hypertension, diabetes, and cardiovascular disorders while being on the editorial boards of multiple such journals. He is the brand ambassador of Awareness for Life program. Recently, Dr. Bhandari was bestowed with the World Icon Award at Bangkok for outstanding contribution as a medical professional. His another award include Dr. P.J. Mehta Young Scientist Award, Dr. Chenna Reddy Gold Medal, State Merit Award by Government of Rajasthan, Best Physician Award by HE, the Governor of Rajasthan, the Times of India Award of Excellence, and the Pride of Rajasthan Award. He has been associated with numerous social initiatives and received the Rotary International Award for his contribution to Pulse Polio program, including Best Rural Charitable Medical Camp and serving specially abled children. Here I present to you the guest or speaker today, Dr. Sudhir Bhandari. We welcome you, sir. Over to you for your presentation.
Good evening. Thank you very much for very kind words you put in. At the onset, I extend my profuse thanks and gratitude to Prabha Foundation for having invited me. It's wonderful to interact with you all. And we are going to talk about some of the burning topics which is interesting everyone across the age group. Everyone would like to learn more and more, be wiser more and more, and definitely you will like to be out of fear psychosis. We are going to talk about a journey of COVID pandemic from initial days till the vaccination and how we are going to have the coming few months, what is called to be imminent third wave, and when we are going to be in a mainstream of life, which everyone is missing like yesteryears. So I welcome you all the viewers and thank once again everyone and all of you being nice to have you with me. Now, at the onset, I must explain to you that COVID pandemic was a surprise. It came as absolutely a new disease pattern which no one anticipated, no one knew about it. In March 2020, when first COVID patients came and a lot of things were being talked about, COVID-19 cases in China, we didn't know that it is going to hit our country so hard. In Rajasthan, we had the first 3 COVID Italian patients in first week of March, and they were travelers. We picked up. When the first wave came in the March 2020, our fear psychosis was very high and confidence level was very low because we did not know anything about this COVID. But as we tide over the crisis of first wave, our confidence level rose up and our fear psychosis came down. Now, what we learned from first few patients of COVID-19, when the first few patients of COVID-19 came, we learned from our Chinese experience that we are just dealing with the viral infection, which is causing cough, which is causing fever, and which is causing breathing difficulty. When these patients came to us, we did not have any specific treatment. I have proud privilege to say that the institute to which I belong to, SMS Medical College and Hospital, we were pioneers in the world to make use of a drug known as hydroxychloroquine and some anti-HIV retroviral drugs. And we wanted to create a bridge between point of no treatment till the point of a specific treatment. Later it was available, and our all three initial patients got cured by this combination of hydroxychloroquine and antiviral drugs. Our composition was talked about world over, and we were asked from United Nations and White House doctors also, and they took all the feedback from us. Now, COVID-19 is a disease which affects across the age, but I'll start with the journey from first wave, learning through the second wave, and what you all need to take precautions for preventing the third wave and how you can protect yourself, your family, and society. The first wave was very progressive wave. It affected mainly elderly people above age of 60 years and from 40 to 60 years. This wave was very progressive, but not as severe as second wave was there. 80% people were mildly or asymptomatic. 15 to 18% people were moderate disease and they required hospitalization, and 2 to 5% people became critical who required ventilation. The first wave led to a pause of pneumonia, led to the complications like clot in the heart, led to the complication like cytokine storm, which is a condition in which the kidneys, heart, and the liver gets affected. And we started treating all these patients. The death rate in the first wave was very less, but this wave was highly contagious. Initially, COVID-19 virus was thought to be highly contagious by physical contact, by coughing, and by the breathing, by the hand-to-hand contact, and by very close proximity. I'll give an example. If someone is COVID positive and if he coughs, he throws out around 20 million, 2 crore viruses in the air. So it is very important for you to understand that you have to have a distance of 5 to 6 feet so that even if someone is asymptomatic and harboring the COVID virus, it falls down on the surface within 3 feet since you are maintaining a distance of 6 feet. Similarly, it was also found to be highly contagious by hand-to-hand contact and also highly contagious if you came across the articles or things touched by the COVID patient. Now, after the first wave got diluted, we started getting new drugs, and remdesivir was one of the drugs which we use to kill the virus. We started getting some more newer drugs known as monoclonal antibodies. The issue with COVID is that COVID causes more damage to the people who had comorbid conditions. So it is a viral disease. 80% who will fall in asymptomatic group are people without any disease. But all those people who had cardiac problem, high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, or asthma, they were people to take care more because they will develop more complications in the lung. They might require hospitalization and they might require the ventilator also. So this was the overall preamble to the COVID pandemic, what we have. Now I'm going to have a little slide presentation for a defined period, and more I'll be happy to share the. So first wave was a progressive wave. When the second wave, and by the time September and November came, the cases started declining. The second wave, which came in the month of March, April, and May 2021, was very aggressive wave. This wave affected all age groups. Mainly the younger people were affected more. In the first wave, only 20% people required oxygen. In the second wave, 80% required oxygen. In the first wave, blood clot in the lungs were very less, but in the second wave, there was a lot of blood clots in the blood. And what does blood clot do in a COVID patient? there was a new onset of heart attacks, there was a new onset of stroke, and there was a new onset of lung puncture, what we call it pneumothorax. So see, the second wave was very aggressive, in which there were multiple complications and lot of oxygen requiring situation was there. You must have heard a lot of hue and cry with the shortage of oxygen, with more oxygenated bed. But the silver lining of cloud was there. When second wave was there, we had the drugs available like remdesivir, which is a specific drug for COVID infection. Now, I would like to give you an overall picture. Whenever someone contacts a COVID infection, normally the disease is active for 2 weeks. The first week is known as viral replication phase, or the active virus stays in the body. And second week is considered as the inflammatory phase caused by the virus. The first week, 80% would not require anything. Only in 20% the oxygen level will fall. So you need to be very careful whenever there's a fever, cough and cold. You need to be very careful to see the oxygen saturation. And if it is more than 94%, we are very happy about it. But sometimes the resting oxygen saturation is normal. So I would like everyone to learn about it. There is a test known as 6-minute walk test. You put the pulse oximeter, as I'm showing you here, and this pulse oximeter which shows the oxygen level. After putting this, you walk for 6 minutes. If there is a fall in oxygen level more than 4% after 6-minute walk, it means you need to contact a doctor. If there is no fall in the oxygen level after 6 minutes, it means you are healthy. The first week is known as a week when the virus replicates. You need to be very careful about it, and you need to observe your oxygen saturation. At the same time, observe for the temperature. If patient has falling oxygen saturation, patient has persistent high temperature, you require antiviral drugs, of which injectable is remdesivir. Everyone has heard about it. And there are a lot of oral drugs available, but it is a drug of choice. Here, I must share with you, now there are latest drugs available for first week management of COVID, that is antibody cocktail, which President Trump had used, known as monoclonal antibody cocktail. There's another drug known as Virafin by Zydus Cadila, the Indian company. Another drug known as 2DG, produced by DRDO, Defense Research Lab of Government of India. So we have few drugs available for first week of viral replication. Second week, by 7 to 9 days, the virus goes out of the body, but it reduces lot of inflammation in the body. This is known as cytokine storm, which can damage heart, kidney, and the liver, and you require a specific drug. By the way, if you have heard a drug by name of tocilizumab, which is a very costly injection costing around 40,000 rupees, it need to be given. So every COVID positive patient need to be very careful for first week, which is a phase of viral infection, and second week, which is a phase of inflammation, which important organs of the body can be affected. Normally, after 10 to 14 days, we expect patient to be COVID virus negative, and then patient recover. But some patient might have delayed complication. Now, when the COVID was on, all of you must have suffered lockdown, complete lockdown. What is the need of lockdown? Whenever there is a open society, or whenever there is an unlockdown, the virus is spread from person to person. And there is a R factor. R factor means one infected person can infect as many number. Initially, during first wave, R factor was up to 80 to 90. It means if one infected patient came out in society, it could affect 80 to 90. At the end of first wave, R factor dropped down to 28 to 30. It means one patient could affect up to 28 to 30 people around. And now R factor has dropped down to 1 to 1.5. It means if one infected patient goes in society now, it will affect only one person. So because of very high infectivity by the COVID patient, the lockdown was a need of hour. Another important reason why lockdown was needed, because when virus goes from one person to another person, virus changes its character. This change in character could be good for us or bad for us. Good for us if virus becomes mild and not capable of producing disease and the potency of virus goes down. Bad for us if virus accidentally become more serious. Like initially, we had alpha virus and GABA virus. But in the second wave, we developed the Delta virus. This COVID-19 virus, once it came to India, underwent 700 types of mutation or changes, but all were not that bad. But in the second wave, it went into a change or mutation known as Delta virus, which was very aggressive and which caused 3 times the deaths or the mortality. And that is a need of total isolation or lockdown, so that whenever there is no interpersonal spread, virus doesn't change the character. I'll give you a small model what we had in our city of Jaipur or the Rajasthan, just to give you an understanding that what was a special thing which happened in our state, which I'll give you just now. I'll show you. Yeah. Now, if you look at this, that Jaipur, there was cases going on. We belong to a city which had a very high incidence of COVID-19 from November 20 to May 31. In fact, the cases were very stable. And suddenly in April and May, the cases went high as on the right sides of the peak source. So you can see a bottom line, brown colored line, which shows a stable patient we had till November. And in fact, till March 2021, and in April and May, the cases went up. In fact, the first wave was a Aravalli Hill. It means it had a height, but it was a plateau. The second wave was Mount Everest. The first wave lasted very long with not very high number of patients. The second wave was like Mount Everest, peaked. Huge number of patients in month of April and May with huge number of sickness and mortality, and it suddenly came down. If I take example of my city, gradually from November 20 onwards, cases started rising and the number kept on increasing. After December and January, they came down and we celebrated Happy New Year with the falling cases. One of the reasons that intermingling of people and celebration in January also brought about increased number of patients in February. Now here begins the new journey of second wave, which I like to depict, that from March onwards, when we had social festival like Holi and the people started mixing, the cases went very high. And especially the end of March to April, cases went on very high. And this high went to highest by May. And this was associated with high sickness and high death rate. So there was a absolutely high peak in month of April and May. And the moment on 11th of May, lockdown was introduced, the cases started declining. So by this graph, I want to show to you that in spite of high number of cases, the lockdown has a great advantage of bringing down the number of patients. There was a different kind of lockdowns which were introduced in our state and our town, which brought down the number of cases. A lot of activities were shut down, a lot of food joints and the articles were also, places were closed down. This is the way we could bring down the results. This slide, I would like everyone to observe, please. There's a term I have written, limited time curfew. Even during limited time curfew, the curves continue to rise. Even during the partial lockdown, the curve continued to rise. But the moment complete lockdown was introduced, the curve started falling. It means there's a partial lockdown and limited curfew doesn't have significant advantage, but complete lockdown brought the curve down. It means reduce the number of patients. That should be enough for everyone to understand that lockdown definitely brings about a lot of economic crisis, lot of earning crisis, but it is mandatory to bring down the number of cases, which always goes with the betterment. And number of cases are when the number of cases are less, rate of increase is also slow. And this is the way that we need to be very careful about it. So partial measles and partial lockdown are ineffective in preventing the increase in number. This is one of the very important conclusions, that partial measures and partial lockdown are ineffective in preventing. Complete lockdown has a great advantage. We need to be very careful about it. And we need to, if lockdown has been unlocked, then our self-discipline, our masking, and our social distancing should be so strong that partial lockdown or unlockdown coupled with our discipline, we should get the complete effect of a lockdown. So either lockdown on one stage or partial lockdown with absolute social appropriate behavior, masking, the social distancing, and taking care, we can bring the same results, which is very important. And we need to ensure that markets have opened, but we need to ensure that we follow the COVID appropriate behavior if we really want to get out of it. Why it is so important? All of you have been vaccinated. Most of you have been vaccinated. You need to understand that even if you have been vaccinated, you are not immune to COVID infection. The vaccination protects you from critical disease and the ventilator. In spite of vaccination, you might still have mild or asymptomatic disease. Hence, COVID appropriate behavior has to be followed unless our 80 to 90% population has been vaccinated. Like so far, our only 30 to 40% population have been vaccinated, and we need to be very careful about that. COVID appropriate behavior is very important to be followed till the 80 to 90% people are vaccinated. So I would just summarize that second wave was very aggressive. It affected 80% of people to require oxygen, damaging more lungs, more heart attacks, more stroke, and it needed to be treated very aggressively. The second wave was followed by immunization program. We were lucky that we had indigenous vaccines. To begin with, we had Covishield, which is in partnership with Oxford AstraZeneca and Serum Institute of India, and Covaxin, which was a totally indigenous. Now we have Sputnik Russian vaccine and Moderna vaccine available. I would request everyone that all those who have not been vaccinated should take 2 doses of vaccine as per the protocol given. Covishield need to be given after 12 to 16 weeks, Covaxin after 21 days, Sputnik after 21 days, Moderna after 28 days. Covishield and Covaxin provides protection up to 90 to 95%. Sputnik provides protection 95%, and Moderna also provides protection from 91 to 94%. Covaxin is absolutely indigenous vaccine, and practically it has no side effect. If you got your children vaccinated, you must have seen child becomes cranky, child has mild fever, child become irritable. So these are the normal vaccine reactions. There has been a lot of myths which I'm going to talk about, that you need to be very careful for 1 or 2 days that you don't have any fever or any untoward effect. You can talk to your doctor, but that could be a simple coincidental. Sputnik is a vaccine. Now, advantage with Covishield and Covaxin are that they can be stored in a normal fridge from 4 to 8 degree. Sputnik is a vaccine which need to be stored at minus 20 degree, and it is highly effective or 91%. Sputnik has 2 doses to be given at 21 days, and both these doses have a different vector. That is the reason Sputnik has a very good antibody response. Moderna is a US vaccine, which is a messenger RNA artificially manufactured vaccine. 2 doses to be given at the 28 days apart, and it has a 90 to 92% efficacy, and Moderna has to be kept as minus 50 degree or so to maintain the potency. So once all of you plan for vaccination, there are certain do's and certain don'ts. Take a lot of water, eat a well-balanced diet, at least sleep for 7 to 8 hours, light exercise is allowed, continue breastfeeding. There's no contraindication of breastfeeding. Even the now vaccination is advised for pregnant ladies also, but COVID appropriate behavior has to be followed. What you need not to do is, please avoid alcohol and tobacco after vaccination. Do not think you are immune immediately after jab. The immunity develops 2 weeks after the second dose. So moment you take the booster dose and you get out into public, not a wise thing. The immunity develops 2 weeks after the booster dose. Don't think you are completely immune after vaccination. As I said to you, mild or asymptomatic disease you can develop. Avoid strenuous exercises for a few days. One of the very important thing I would like to share with you, because we are in the era of vaccination, there are few myths which you should not follow and you should overcome. COVID-19 vaccine alters DNA, that it alters the whole genetic structure of the body. Truly, it is not correct. It is not safe because of it is quick rollout. I must submit to you that all the vaccines or the drugs passes through phasic trial. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Phase 1 is a laboratory trial and in the animals. Phase 2 is a bigger human trial. Phase 3 is a still bigger human trial, and phase 4 is a rollout trial. All these trials are most scientifically done. Whenever there's an emergency or crisis, there's no compromise in the duration of trial, but they are scientifically hastened to get the quicker results, so they are absolutely safe. The another myth is that food allergy, immunocompromised, breastfeeding, or pregnant people cannot get the vaccine. All of these people can. Either people who have food allergy, they can also take vaccine. Those who are immunocompromised can take. Pregnant and lactating mother can also take vaccine. Another thing is that people fear that since a Covishield is a live attenuated vaccine, live attenuated means a live vaccine, it is weakened to the extent that it cannot produce the disease. I will get COVID, truly, which is not correct. I have had COVID-19, so I do not need the vaccine. Truly speaking, all those people who suffered from COVID still required COVID vaccination. Why? Because COVID disease produces antibodies which are mild and which are not lasting and which are short-lived, while the vaccination produces robust antibodies, adequate volume of antibodies, they last for longer time. Hence, COVID recovered patient also after 2 to 3 months required vaccination. And no need for mask or social distancing after vaccination. It is absolutely wrong. Even after COVID vaccination, you need to follow the COVID appropriate behavior, which is very important. And you need to have this till the 80 to 90% population is vaccinated. Now, few important things I like to share with my audience, that it is very important to have early diagnosis of a COVID symptom. In first wave and second wave, we had mainly symptoms of fever, cough, and breathlessness. But at the end of second wave, we started new onset type of symptoms. We started getting more children and the infants infected with the COVID-19, and the younger people, children and infants, started having symptoms of GI tract, gastrointestinal tract, in the form of pain abdomen, in the form of diarrhea, in the form of urinary problem, in the form of jaundice, in the form of cardiac problem, in the form of stroke or the paralysis. So any fever during COVID times, any discomfort during COVID times, any breathlessness during COVID times, any fall in oxygen saturation during COVID times, please contact your doctor. This is one of the very important observation. Number one. Number two, there is a test known as RT-PCR, which everyone gets done for the COVID-19 diagnosis. You must know the correctness of RT-PCR is only 60 to 70%. It means you take 100 patients who are COVID patients and you do the RT-PCR for 100 patients, it will be positive in only 60 to 70%. So 30 to 40% patient, in spite of having COVID infection, when they get a report of COVID RT-PCR negative, they become careless. You need not to be. If you have any fever or related symptoms, meet your doctor. And I must tell you the name of the highly sensitive test known as HRCT test. The CT scan of chest is 98 to 99% sensitive. It depicts the COVID pneumonia, but it is more positive after first 5 to 6 days. The yield of positivity of HRCT is not so much in first 5 days. In the second wave, which is diagnostic. There was a rumor, there was a WhatsApp news circulating that CT scan is very detrimental. CT scan gives you a radiation up to 300 axis. Truly speaking, CT scan is life-saving. You hardly get advised to get 1, 2, or 3 CT scan throughout the COVID illness duration. Hence, it is a life-saving for early diagnosis. So important conclusions of my COVID message is that it is a disease. Everyone need to get them vaccinated. It is a disease. You need to pick up symptoms early. Even after you got vaccinated, you need to follow the COVID appropriate behavior, probably till mid of next year. And you till the 80 to 90% of our country's population gets vaccinated. And vaccination has to be done even if those people who have suffered from COVID. Now, I'll be very open to everyone for any questions, because many of the things I've left for the questions to be asked.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a great insight on the entire topic, and especially about the vaccination and the RT-PCR test. We surely have a lot of questions in the question and answer box. I will be reading out the names and the questions. And if any of the audience here wants to ask the question, they can raise their hands. And yes, sir, the question we have, multiple questions from one person. And Gyan Prakash ji is asking that the first dose of COVID shield was taken and then he got COVID. He's a COVID sufferer. So after how much time the second dose be taken? Besides, is it possible to change second dose from COVID shield to Sputnik vaccine? And the subsequent questions, Gyan Prakash ji is asking about COVID sufferings and recovery. There are a lot of pain and cramps in body besides very low energy. So what do you suggest? And when the third wave of situations, the third wave of the situations for diabetic and senior citizens to be taken precautions besides social distancing, which anyway are taken care of. Your advices on that?
Probably I'll answer one by one all the questions. Sir. The first thing is that he had COVID after first shot of Covishield.
Yes.
The first shot gives only 40 to 50% protection. That is the reason you require booster dose, which gives 2 weeks after booster dose, 90% protection. As he was not fully protected and he must have a definitely mild disease. Now, regarding his second dose, he is eligible to take second dose, which he must take after 2 months minimum, 2-3 months being tested negative. So he is eligible to take the second dose 2 to 3 months after being tested negative. His next question that can he change to the Sputnik?
Yes.
In fact, this is known as bridging technique. Lot of trials in UK and Ireland are going on where people have taken the first dose as AstraZeneca and second dose of Pfizer USA, and they have found a good antibody response. Normally, any suggestion in medical science is supported by the research and trials. So far, there has been a research and trials of AstraZeneca with Pfizer. And this is known as bridging technique, which has shown the positive results. So if the Pfizer has shown the positive results, I'm sure Sputnik might show if tested in future. But as on today, there are no guidelines or no suggestions available that he can change it to Sputnik. If he wants to change it to Pfizer, yes, guidelines have come that after first Covishield, you can take Pfizer. But Sputnik, it has not come. So it will be prudent he takes the Covishield only. His second question was that his tiredness and fatigue continues.
Yes.
In fact, this is known as post-COVID syndrome. The post-COVID syndrome is a situation which can last from 2 weeks to 9 months. It can affect every system of the body, from memory to concentration, tiredness, fatigue, loss of appetite, lethargy, etc. Partly it is because many times people have a big lung damage, they have lung fibrosis. So they might have delayed oxygenation, poor oxygenation. They might have secondary infection. You must have heard of black fungus and aspergillosis, etc. So if someone has a post-COVID symptoms and lethargy, probably he should meet a doctor to get insight into that there are no underlying issue. His last question was, can you tell me the last question?
Yes, sir. Last question is about your advice for the third wave of the situations for diabetic and senior citizens.
Now, let me tell you one thing. One of the biggest challenge in COVID management is increase in sugar and new onset diabetes. Everyone sitting here should know that COVID increases sugar levels. All those people who are already diabetic, their sugar doubles or triples. And many borderline patients or who are insulin, not diabetic patient, but they are like insulin resistant patient or who are pre-diabetic patient become frank diabetic patient. So one of the important aspect during COVID management is to have the perfect diabetic control, and most of the patient would require insulin. So any person who's a diabetic, he need to be all the more careful about suspected COVID symptoms. He need to meet doctor more actively. He need to get his HRCT done most actively, and he need to be more careful because diabetics are more prone to get COVID infection. They are more prone to have more complication, and diabetic patient might have flare up of the sugar during COVID times. Regarding third wave, as he asked to you, what is third wave? If you know some history about Spanish flu in 1918 to 1921, Spanish flu was a kind of a flu, swine flu, and it had 5 waves. It had a 5 wave. It had millions of people who died because at that time treatment modalities were not so good. What happens? Virus changes its character, and the moment a critical or the very virulent virus develops again, there is a fall in the number of cases and then cases again rising. We are expecting third wave, like many of the European and US countries, but this third wave is going to be a little different than first and second wave. Why? The first wave involved 60 plus patient. Second wave involved 40 to 60 or even 30 years patient. That age group, that is 45 plus and 60 plus, stands most of them vaccinated. India has a very young population. So 39 crore vaccination in our country involves mainly 45 plus and 61. So vaccinated elderly people will be protected during third wave, number one. So the unprotected group is only the young people, children and adolescents. Hence, we need to be very careful. Now, what will happen? These young children and adolescents can be protected if elderly family members are all vaccinated, so that they will not carry virus to the children in their home. Secondly, third wave will have a different presentation. Like in children, they need not to have classical fever, cough and breathlessness. They might have simple pain abdomen. They might have diarrhea. They might have a multi-system inflammatory syndrome. You'll be surprised. The children with COVID might have more of the heart problems, the swelling of the heart, swelling of the liver, swelling of the kidney, the joint pains. The playfulness of children may go down. We have got so many COVID positive children. Parents say they had mild fever, they were not eating adequately. A very chubby and very chirpy child who was very playful will just come and sleep after every few hours. And later when the patient was brought, he was tested, child was tested positive for COVID. So child may have a non-specific varied symptom. So during third wave, all those people with comorbid conditions like diabetes, heart problem, cancer have to be careful. But if they stand vaccinated, they are little reassured of having only mild disease if they contact. All people who are unvaccinated need to be very careful. Any atypical symptom has to be brought to the notice. And still, you need to follow the COVID appropriate behavior to reduce the complications of third wave, which is very important.
Thank you so much, sir. That was quite informative. And we have one question, a subsequent question about the vaccination, what you just mentioned about the third wave for kids. This is by Vandana Singh ji, and she's asking, I wanted to know that is there any possibility of vaccination for children in near future?
Yes. The 2 vaccines are almost ready. One vaccine by Bharat Biotech has just finished the phase 3 trial. Phase 3 trial is a one trial phase. When it is successful, you are ready to use in the phase 4. And another virus by Zydus Cadila, which is an Indian company. So by middle of August, we are going to have a pediatric vaccine from age group of 2 to 16, and is a good news for all parents and children. That's why be very careful, protect your children till middle of August or third week of August. We are going to have, for all practical purposes, the pediatric vaccine for this age group by middle or the third week of August. In US, you must have read the Pfizer is already being given to the children below age of 12. And I think India, we are very lucky to have over 2 indigenous pediatric vaccines ready by second or third week of August.
That's a very big relief. And on the same note, is this vaccination good for the children who are with some comorbid conditions? Like the type A diabetes or cancer or something like that?
Vaccination is more good for people with comorbid condition. It is must for people with more comorbid condition. When I say people, it could be child with the juvenile diabetes to 80 plus adult with the maturity onset diabetes, or a child with blood or the heart problem to the adult problem. All people with comorbid diseases, with poor or compromised immune system, they are more eligible candidates for vaccination, and we need to protect them more.
Right. We have one more question by Kanak Rekha Chauhanji. She is asking, many people are having COVID infection after 2 doses of vaccination. How do you explain? Does it mean vaccinations are not effective? I am expecting a grandchildren in January and my daughter is not vaccinated. Is there any test data is available for pregnant women for all the 3 vaccines available in India?
First question. As I told you in beginning, you are liable to get COVID infection in spite of 2 doses of vaccination. As I told you, all these vaccination 2 weeks after booster dose protect you from those strains of vaccination up to 85 to 95%. You must have seen Delta is a new wave, a new vaccine. You must have seen the original vaccine of March 2020 has gone 700 times changes what we call in mutations. So all practical purposes, the antibodies produced by a vaccine will protect the new variants also, but you are not immune to having asymptomatic or mild disease in spite of adequate vaccination. Hence, you are requested to keep total protection by COVID appropriate behavior till 90% of population is vaccinated, and hence, in spite of 2 doses of vaccination, you might have mild or asymptomatic disease. Only relief is that you will not go on ventilator, you will not be critical, you will not be very serious. That is the only advantage. Second, your children who are coming in January, I hope by January, we will have vaccination available in India. Otherwise, wherever your children are, I'm sure by that time vaccine will be available. Your daughter who is coming, who is not vaccinated, I would like wherever she stays, practically now vaccines are pan-global. They are globally available. She should get her vaccinated as early as possible.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions in the chat box, which you have already answered about how safe it is for kids and the complications existing after COVID. So I'll take another question, which is by Prem Kakuji. And the question is, does COVID-19 protocol require sanitizing packed items and vegetables and fruits?
Sanitizing, can you speak again?
Sanitizing packed items, vegetables and fruits.
Now, truly speaking, if anyone who is infected, if anyone who carried the virus and who was not sanitized his hand may contaminate these articles. Hence, not only for COVID-19, as a principle also, we need to rinse all the fruits and vegetables we use. We need to clean with the potassium permanganate or the warm water. These are the standard protocols, not only for prevention of the COVID-19, but all kind of viral infection. These are the protocols should always be followed, because you don't know when you bring the things from market, who else have coughed there, who else have thrown the virus out of breathing. It is not only the COVID-19, it could be tubercular virus, it could be enteric infection, it could be any other bacteria or the fungus, etc. So it is always prudent to rinse all the edibles, all the articles which come to your house, to clean them, rinse them, and to then make use of them. And this is more pertinent and logical for COVID-19 because it is a highly infectious disease.
I hope you got your answer. One question is by Rajendra Parikji, and the question is, I am vaccinated with both doses of Covishield now. How long will this be protective, and do I need any booster dose after this also got second dose of on June 25th?
This is a brilliant question. You know, we are coming across this pandemic first time. You must have heard tetanus toxoid is given every 5 years. You must have heard hepatitis B is given every 5 years. You must have heard influenza vaccine is given annually. So COVID vaccination has happened first time in the world. And effectiveness of COVID is being assessed. Every month, a lot of research data is coming up where antibody titers are measured, and it is being assessed that how long antibodies produced by COVID vaccine last in the body. So presumably it is being thought that probably like other viral vaccines which are annual in nature, COVID could also be an annual vaccine to be given. As on today, there are no guidelines for a second booster dose. It means third dose of vaccine for common man. But yes, the research is going on to give a second booster dose or third vaccine to doctors and the health professionals who are coming in direct contact with the COVID patient. So probably it is a first experience, first time vaccine being used. Presuming that it is a kind of a viral influenza kind of a vaccine, we believe that it might protect us for an year. No doubt it might many times protect more than a year or less than a year. Over the period of time we'll come to know. But broadly, it looks like being in a viral respiratory influenza-like infection, it should protect us for at least an year after the booster dose.
So before taking the dose, is it necessary to take some antibody test or antigen test?
Basically, third dose should not be taken because it's not a part of the protocol recommendation. Antibody tests, yes, every person need to get it done 2 weeks after booster dose. And for academic reason, a person who has received a second dose long before, every few months, if he feels like can get the antibody test done. Here, I would like to say you should get your antibody test done from the same lab or the same protocol, because different labs have a different scales of the measurement of antibody. Like in one lab, you will get the antibodies 2000 because the upper limit is 10,000. And another lab, you will get antibody 20 because upper limit is 50. So you will get totally confused. So over the period of time, if someone gets antibody titer measured, I would strongly recommend they should get it done, definitely, but from the same lab so that the same protocol of the units is expressed on that.
Fair enough. So we have one question by Apra Kuchal. She is the honorary convener, Rajasthan and Central India Affairs. And she is asking, you were the first to receive COVID vaccine in Rajasthan. Were you not scared? And what is your advice about vaccination? What gives you energy to go on? Because we in Jaipur have seen you work round the clock.
Thank you for the compliment. Yes, I was the first person in Rajasthan to take vaccine on 16th of January. To be honest, there was a lot of myths about vaccine. Even my own colleagues in my fraternity were very scared. Having acquired the scientific knowledge of vaccine, having learned all about it, I was too confident. I had no fear and I have no worries about it. And I volunteered to take the first vaccine. Can you believe how the scenario has changed? When vaccination started on 16th of January, our vaccination booths were empty. We had a target to vaccinate 100 patients, 100 people a day, and we were vaccinating 5, 10, 20 because people were not turning up. Today, we are vaccinating in our own institute. Each center is vaccinating 800 to 1500 patients a day. So the confidence level and the fear psychosis of vaccination was so much, I offered myself even to tide over the fear psychosis because I was convinced of scientific outcome and I was very happy about it. Secondly, I think zeal of working, basically the pleasure and the happiness you derive while taking people out of this COVID sickness and mortality, because more aggressively you treat them, faster you treat them, adequately you treat them, more lives you can save them. So probably I have a privilege to say that I belong to country's one of the most pioneer institute, and it is a world-class institute we created with capacity of 3,500 beds to handle at a time of the COVID patient. So that was a strength. And one of the reasons, because of the enough scientific knowledge, I was very confident to take the COVID vaccine. At the same time, I wanted to create an example for my own fraternity, medical professionals, colleagues, what to talk of general people who were scared of taking vaccine. And fortunately, everything worked very well.
Wonderful. Congratulations. And thank you for giving us that confidence for the vaccination. There is one more question by Deepa Mishra ji, and she is asking, I would like to know how do factors such as high cholesterol and high blood pressure affect me if I have diabetes?
Okay, let me tell you one thing. Diabetes is a disease which gets flared up in all viral infection and more so during COVID times. Diabetes is a disease. You can learn to live with this. You can live for 100 years if you are destined to, keeping the values within limits. But at the same time, diabetes is a disease, if you're not respected it, it can damage any organ of your body from head to toe, especially brain, eyes, heart, kidneys, nerves, etc. And combination of diabetes, blood pressure, and high cholesterol, I would say it is a bad combination. It is a combination like you are driving a car with weak brakes, no lights, and no air in your tire. Probably all the three risk factors can affect your life. Hence, it is very important to keep all the three parameters within normal limits. And I reassure you, whether someone has diabetes or blood pressure or cholesterol, they go hand in hand to create complication. But if all three controlled, probably you can lead as healthy life as a normal person.
Wonderful. So I think there is just, one question, which is, I think, again, a repeat, but parents need more assurance from you regarding the vaccination for kids, that how safe it is.
It will be absolutely safe. You have seen vaccination being done for children. I'm sure many parents must have seen their wards going to US or Europe for studies. They take a set of vaccination. They take mumps, measles, rubella, encephalitis, hepatitis B, etc. Can you believe all these vaccines are safe? So I reassure you, these vaccines come into uses only after thorough phase trials, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. They are so scientific trials. In fact, we have also been a part of the trial. We are testing the COVID nasal vaccine, and thereafter could be a year or so, will be no prick required. The nasal flow, we are doing the trial in our institute. So I reassure you, all vaccinations are safe. You should give confidently to all the children when they are available, and all vaccinations are rolled out in market after thorough scientific trials. So never get swayed about it.
Thank you so much. And we have a lot of more questions in the chat box, but because of shortage of time, we won't be able to take the other questions. And that was quite a deep, informative session about the entire details of COVID and the vaccination. So on behalf of Prabha Khaitan Foundation, I would like to thank Dr. Sudhir Bhandari ji for taking out time from his busy schedule and informing and enriching us about the entire COVID-19 situation, the myths around it, clarifying the myths, giving us more information about the vaccinations and how vaccinations are safe for kids also, and how comorbid people should take more care of themselves in these particular conditions. I would also like to thank our presenter, Shree Cement Limited. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our patents who have made this session possible, even during these difficult times. So thank you each and everyone. Stay well, stay safe. Goodbye until next time.
Thank you, Jyoti ji. And thanks to Sandeep Bhutoria. I don't know whether he's there or not, but yes, thank you very much, Sandeep ji. And it's been a pleasure being here, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Don't worry of third wave. Just follow the COVID appropriate behavior. Probably a simple mask can protect you.
Sure. We all will be more safe and more aware of the third wave and follow the instructions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.